Hello, hello. Nice to see all of you. Welcome, welcome. Great to see you in this session. Let's just wait for a bit for everybody to hop on board. I hope you can see me. I have some lights in the background, but I think it's quite okay. So nice to see you, and please type in the chat, where are you watching this from and how are you feeling today? How are you feeling today? So nice to see all your little faces. A lot of familiar faces, some new faces. Hello from Warsaw, Poland, from Milan. Hello from Jerusalem, from Munich, from Johannesburg. Hello, Rotterdam. Feeling great, excited. Sweden, feeling calm. I wonder if we can make some kind of observation of where everybody is and whether they are feeling calm or excited. Belgrade, feeling enthusiastic and excited. Amsterdam North, as usual. Close to Berlin. Hello, Anton, nice to see you. Poznan, Poland. Heemstede, and it's a happy day. Hasselt, Belgium, welcome, welcome. Hello, Ximena from Colombia, nice to see you. Amsterdam, Salisbury, England, feeling relaxed. Good, from Den Bosch and Curious, feeling super fresh, UA, feeling fantastic. You just graduated, right? Can't see you now. Feeling tired but good. Feeling inspired from Berlin. Tanya is watching and just watched the Prime Light session from yesterday. Good. That was about getting out of your own way, wasn't it? Anna says hi from Toronto, Canada. Norrköping, I probably pronounced that completely wrong. Sweden, feeling excited. Juliana says hi from Colombia, curious, excited. Berlin, Nancy, France, a little bit tired after the travel. Madeleine, you went from Paris to Nancy, I guess. Nice. All right, so I am going to mute all of you for now. But if you would like to ask any questions or have anything that you would like to share, and I see my mom hopping in. Ingeborg, that's my mom. She's watching from Enschede. And Devanshi saying hi from India. Hi, everybody. If you have anything that you would like to share, I love to read that in the chat. So feel free to chat away. And I hope to answer any questions in between or at the end. So today it's a kind of small sample session, but I hope it will be relevant for you. And I do this because we are celebrating the launch of a 21-day challenge in our members group, which is the Creative Strategies for Sensitive Pirates group. And I'll tell you more about that later, but I want to start just by explaining why I do this in the first place, because you might know the work I do as a designer working with food. And I've been working with food for about 20 years. And I think it's really quite cool to see that when I started 20 years ago, there was, actually not anything really with food and design. And right now you can say that food and design is a global movement, like all around the world, excited, talented young people are working on food and design. And I think it's really fantastic to see that, that there are new insights in the world of food and also in the world of design. So I think it's such a valuable thing to see that creative thinking can just bring new angles to the world, new perspective that you might not have thought about before. But that is the power of creative thinking. And I think especially right now in the world where we can see that computers and eventually robots are taking over a lot of the activities that we were actually trained to do. And still our educational system is very much focused on training the skills that can be easily overtaken by robots. So wouldn't it make sense to develop ourselves in a way that is unique to us as human beings, which is to have a creative mind, which is not always logical, to have emotions that we can make work for ourselves in a very powerful way, to create things that are not necessarily logical, but that bring poetry, or that bring elevation, or that bring some sort of magical mystery, whether that be through painting, whether that be through food, whether that be through fashion design. Still, I think the whole activity of creating or being a human being working in the creative field is actually a very powerful position to be in, especially if we look at the future. I'm not saying that we only need creativity in the world. I think the world needs a plurality of people. But as I am in the creative field, and when I look around me and see all these amazing creative people who bring so much more joy, so much more insight, so much more challenge to people's way of seeing the world, to people's way of thinking about the world, I really like and I really appreciate people working in this field. But there's also something else that I see, and that is that I see many creatives really struggling because a lot of creative people have a huge sensitivity. They are sensitive for beauty, for shape or color or form, or for a conceptual thought, or for theater performance. And this sensitivity, I think, is a great force. I think this is really something that enables you to bring something to the world that is worthwhile, something unique, something authentic, something that the world perhaps didn't see before, that wasn't there before. And this sensitivity that enables you to do that can also be, and this is something that I observe, but that I also experienced myself, can also be a huge struggle, because for many people it also means that their openness towards this beauty, their openness towards all these ideas, can also be an openness towards stress, can also be an openness towards a sensitivity for judgment, or the openness for feeling overwhelmed. And I believe it's such a shame, because I don't think it has to be like that. But it is something that for some reason you don't really learn when you actually learn to develop your creative skills. Is this something you relate to, or am I just like talking about myself? Could be. Do you recognize what I talk about? Because I think it is something we don't really speak of. We speak about the inspiration. We look at like beautiful design blogs. You can just type in the chat whether you feel this relates to you. Yeah. And it is a shame. And so we look at creation, we look at paintings, we look at beautiful objects, we look at theater, we look at all these things and we feel inspired. And we want to perhaps train ourselves to become better at making ceramics, or to become better at creating our craft or making amazing food. But we never really talk about what is below. We never talk about the human being who is the creator. We never talk about where do these ideas really come from? And how can I protect this force, this power of creation that I have within me without feeling overwhelmed, without feeling restricted by stress, without feeling limited because I feel I just have a little bit of time or I need to do all these things? How can we make sure that we protect this and that we can actually stay in our playing mode and actually also deal with the to-do list? Because, you know, we do live in a world where we have to-do lists. But how can we make sure that we actually dance through them instead of feel like, oh, this is another headache? I'm just reading your comments on the side. Yeah, it's relatable, absolutely. Recently graduated designer, very overwhelmed. Yeah. Yeah, I think Emanon says, I recognize it and struggle with this on daily basis. Also, my creative friends have this. You can actually lock yourself in just to not have to sense and deal with all triggers from the outside. And we carry stress like an accessory. I really love that comment. Well, I think we actually carry everything, like our minds and our bodies, as accessories as well. But that's a different topic. And I say this not because I only observe it. I say this because I have felt very stressed myself for a very long time. I think even for about 15 years, I felt on the verge of a burnout. And I always wondered, why don't I actually get a burnout? Like, why doesn't it really happen? Why do I always feel like I'm on the verge? It's even worse when you feel on the verge, because I thought if I maybe just fall down, then maybe someone will catch me. And then maybe I can relax for a bit, because then I can say to everybody, yeah, I've got a burnout, but now I just kept going. And I think actually the reason why I didn't get a burnout in my case is because even though I felt very stressed because my work was too much for me to handle, or felt too much for me to handle, in combination with my private life, in combination with having restaurants, with going bankrupt, with having 3 children, and lots of things happening at the same time, I think I'd never actually got the burnout, because even though all these things were happening in my work, I always felt that I could follow my gut feeling. I always felt that I had the chance and that I took the chance to do what I felt, what I intuitively felt, really like physically, I could just feel it in my gut, what I felt that I needed to do. And I think that actually saved me from having the burnout. But still, you know, living a life on the verge of burnout with lots of stress, I don't really know if you can call that a real life. It is a state of being. And so a few years ago, I started actually training to find ways to deal with this. And I noticed that there are a few things that can really help you. But it's funny because it's kind of a vicious cycle. Because when you feel stressed and overwhelmed and you feel that you have this huge to-do list, then you feel that your brain is blocked to think freely about solutions to actually trigger all the stress. And because you feel blocked, you actually won't deal with it. And then you stay stressed. And then you don't have the liberty of your mind. And then you stay stressed. And then you don't deal with it. So somewhere you have to decide to break that cycle. And I think that's really important to realize, that it is actually a decision. It's a decision that you can make. And the decision is based on a very simple principle. It is based on the principle whether you allow yourself to put yourself first. The moment you decide to allow yourself to put yourself first, it might feel very unnatural because we are not used to doing that. Our society is not built for people to put themselves first. When we listen to popular music, then putting yourself first is not like the major theme in the music. And of course, it sounds really nice to say, no, you have to think about other people first. You have to do what's being told to you. Is that something that you used to hear when you grew up? Do what you're being told? Think about other people? Is this something you recognize? And in the meanwhile, just peek at the comments here. Colin has a beautiful comment, absolutely. Yeah, and it's actually not the asking, how can we protect ourselves? It's actually because I think we actually don't need to protect. Eventually, I think what we need to do is to actually release and let go. And by doing so, you create a kind of Teflon, like spiritual Teflon, and everything just slides off. Kabia, that is a really good comment. Why don't we get creative when we experience stress? What if our first response to stress would be a creative idea at will? Yeah, I think this is a misunderstanding that is very common. A lot of creative people say that they actually perform best under stress. But the thing is that when you are stressed, you have beta brainwaves. And beta brainwaves are really useful. They help you not to get run over by cars. They help you to get to your job in time. Very useful, but it's not the brainwaves. It's not this brainwave state that help you to get your creative ideas. That happens in alpha and theta brainwaves. These brainwaves, they happen in different stages when you're daydreaming, or when you're in the shower, or when you're going for a walk. So a lot of creatives who say that they get their best ideas being stressed probably already did the pre-work in alpha and theta state somewhere before they were approaching the deadline. Maybe somewhere where they were actually procrastinating, where they were thinking, oh yeah, I might just go do the dishes instead of doing this thing that I don't really want to do. Do you recognize that? But actually, doing these dishes is where mentally they're already doing the pre-work, so that when the deadline arrives and when the beta brainwaves kick in, because, oh, now they have to perform, then they can retrieve that and then they can get the things done. So it is a very useful brainwave, the beta brainwaves, but it doesn't mean that that's where you get your creative ideas. You do really have to get to a state of alpha and theta brainwaves to find these creative ideas. And many people do that subconsciously. They actually don't know how that happens. But once you understand how that happens, then you can also start to make that work for you. And then you can also start to master them. And that will give you lots of relief and a powerful feeling that you can actually master them. Let me see, I'm missing some. Some chats. Yeah, staying in touch with your intuition. I want to talk about that a little bit more later on. Yeah, so it's very recognizable, you know, you have to do what you're being told. And you have to care for others. And the funny thing is that caring for others is, I think, a natural activity of human beings. It's not that we don't care for others, but the moment you didn't have the chance or you're not allowed to care for yourself, how can you care for someone else? It's like being in the airplane. You have to put on your oxygen mask first before you can help others. And I think the moment you feel that you have to abandon your inner drive, your inner gut feeling, because of someone else or because of something else, or because you think that certain things are expected of you, so then it's not even a real person telling you what to do. It's actually your brain telling you to behave in a certain way, whereas no one really told you that. I think this creates a very frictionless situation in your life, where you start to behave as if you have to live for a certain demand of someone else. And that creates a lot of stress. And actually, you can see that a lot of successful creatives are the people that are self-empowered. These are people that actually don't give a fuck. And it's not that these people don't care about other people. They just know that by making sure that they follow their heart and that they do not have to care about other people's opinion, they actually do not seek other people's opinion or other people's approval. And if you don't seek other people's approval, if you don't seek to behave in the way that you think you should behave, if all of these things would drop off of you, if all these things could just go away, what do you think would happen? You would suddenly get a lot of mental space, a lot of freedom, and a lot of love to share with other people. Do you think that people who are highly stressed, feeling anxious and overwhelmed, really have the mental space to spend time and be present with someone else? Or do you think that the person who just doesn't care about someone else's opinion, but is authentically and powerfully connected to their own gut feeling, do you think that person will have more mental space to connect with another human being? Just trying to catch up with your chat. Yeah, about deadline stress. Yeah, and stress itself has a purpose, but when you cannot switch it off, then it becomes harmful to your body. So just feeling stress is actually just a signal from your body saying, hey, there's something you need to do. That's it, nothing more. But when there is nothing that really needs to be done, when there is not a real lion in the room that's going to eat you, then you can wonder if this physical feeling of wah is actually really true, and if it's really something you should answer to, or whether you can actually let that go. Yeah, procrastination. Yeah, but procrastination has its function as well. Yeah, Colin, that's true. Alpha is open and flow, beta is analytical, theta is subconscious, and delta is actually healing and going back to source, which also connects to that. All right, great. So when you find a way to go back to yourself, when you put yourself first, when you make sure that is your priority, then it also becomes so much easier to actually really connect with other human beings. Then it becomes so much easier to help other people. Then it becomes so much easier to just be a vibrant light of joy, which just as a byproduct is already nicer for the people around you. So understanding that putting yourself first is actually the first step to creative freedom, I think, is a very important starting point. So is this, so far, is this resonating with you? Do you have any questions or anything that you would like to say about that? Janine, yeah, brainwave sounds is incredible. And one of the creative strategies that we use in our members group is a specific type of meditation that has 4 phases and that takes you through the different brain waves. But it's not only just taking you through these different brain waves, it is also actively helping you to find answers to creative problems or to find solutions. So for example, if you're stuck in a project and you want to have an answer, you can use this methodology, a 20-minute meditation, to find, it's actually just a portal to enter a kind of space of unknown, to find answers that you wouldn't normally find, because normally your brain is wired in a certain pattern of repetition that you have been practicing over time. So what you do is actually you release all the things that you have learned, you release all the things that you have trained, and you just open your brain to find new connections and to find more possibilities. So that is one of the things that we use this Prime Light meditation for. But we also use different kind of strategies, like writing, for example, to help you think differently, to help you think in ways that deal with letting go of unnecessary thoughts. Because eventually it's not about becoming a different person, or it's not about learning new skills. It's actually about unlearning things. So beneath all of the layers of stress, beneath the layers of anxiety, of overwhelm, beneath the layers of sensitivity to judgment, for example, beneath all of that, there is just like a perfect, solid, powerful person. And the only thing you need to do is just to let go of all these layers. And once you can let them go, then you're already there. So you don't have to add anything on top of it. It's actually a very reductive practice. It's really just forgetting about things, and that it then more than that it is about adding new things. All right. Power nap. Yeah, power nap is a very straightforward thing to do, which is fantastic, and it can really revive you. And our system is a little bit more fine-tuned, and before you go into these 20 minutes, you write down what you want from it. So it is very productive in that sense. It's very practical and not necessarily very fluffy. You really go in there and you find what you need to find. Kabia says, stress when it's uncontrolled becomes worrisome. Minimal stress. Yeah, if you can switch it off, that's fine. But the thing is that many people are not able to switch it off or to control it. So it just overflows them. It just overcomes you and you feel, I am stressed. But actually, and that's what people say, I am stressed. I am stressed. Just by saying that signals to your body, okay, apparently we're stressed. You're telling yourselves like, oh, we're stressed. Now we don't have any energy to heal our bodies when they're broken because we're stressed, because there is something really bad going on. So just by saying that already, you put something on top of yourself. All right. Anna says, it's very interesting how exercises like yoga help me feel relief from stress and make design decisions. Yeah. So what I try to say is that there are practices and there are strategies, and it's a kind of mix between mentality, focusing and balancing brain waves, and creating resilience, mental resilience. And these are very simple practices, but by making sure you have that going on, by putting yourself first, by going in there, you as a human being, it will have a natural effect on your creative practice. And that is actually why I do this, because I think we never talk about what is below that. We never talk about the person who is the creator and the person who is actually coming up with all this beauty in the world, but needs support to become solid. And when you're solid, then it's so much easier to create, to play, and to see the world as just like a white canvas to play on, instead of knowing that you're a powerful creator, but struggling at the same time with getting all your things done. That is just a shame. I really believe that. Colin, yes, absolutely. If you prime yourself by saying that you're stressed, then it makes it more so. Yeah. I'm calm despite the stress, and also understand that stress is something that will that you can actually release again. It doesn't have to define you. You are not your stress. Stress is just an emotion which is caused by the thoughts in your brain. And when you start training your brain to think different thoughts, then your body will also start to behave differently and understand that the stress is actually not needed. So it's really training your thoughts, it's training your brain. And the training is not like a complex thing to do. It's actually, I think the most complex thing is understanding how simple it really is. How children already do that, but how we, for some reason, unlearn to do that. So for today, since we're talking about putting yourself first, I think it's funny because it's such a kind of simple thing to do, but it is almost as if it's a taboo, putting yourself first. But for this week, I would like to challenge you to try and put yourself first. And then whenever something happens and you notice that you do something because you think that this is asked of you, or you think that it is demanded of you, I actually challenge you to just try to feel here. Like physically, you can physically feel that, to start to become in tune with your gut feeling and wonder, is this really what I should do? Try to be your self-authorized, unapologetic self. Because why would you need to apologize for being yourself? And other people might demand things of you. But is that really right? Wouldn't it be more fair to say to the other person who demands something of you, but actually, because I respect you, I answer honestly from my gut. I want something different. And wouldn't you actually be taking this person more serious if you reply to this person from your authentic self instead of answering to the demand the other person makes? Because if you do that, it might also mean that you don't really take this other person serious. Are you relating to this? Do you have any questions about this? Because I know it's like, when I heard this the first time, I was like, oh no, but I can't just do that. Monica, that is a great question. Overthinking is actually overthinking is really getting in your way. So you can really wonder, like, do I allow myself to overthink things, or do I allow myself to do things, perhaps making a mistake? And if I make a mistake, don't care about that, because you do make mistakes anyway. You can just laugh about that and find that whenever you do make a mistake, you actually learn and grow. It's the best way to learn and grow. Kids can only start to walk because they fall down. But for some reason, when we grow up, we are so scared to do anything wrong. But isn't not doing anything actually also doing something wrong to yourself? Thank you, Sefa. Yeah, I mean, that is a great question, because I know that it sounds, putting yourself first, like an egoistic thing. And I would never want to endorse egoism, but actually, I do not believe that any one of you is egoistic. If you are, then just raise your hand now. Are you? I don't think you want to be egoistic. So I think once you decide to put yourself first, you will notice when you do something because you want to do something, to actually connect with another human being, because you want that, because you feel that you want to share love, and by doing something for someone else, you can express that love. Yeah, you want to do that. So does it align with your gut feeling? Yes, it aligns with your gut feeling. Doing something for someone because this person demands something of you, but you actually do not want to do it, or you don't actually feel that that's right. Is that egoistic then, to actually tell this person, I don't want to do that? I don't think that is egoistic. I think that is very clear and very respectful to the other person. And how this other person wants to deal with that, that is up to them. You do not have to solve that. You are not responsible for their feelings. You are responsible for being true to yourself. And once you start to steer from there, you will notice that some people have to kind of get used to you suddenly being different. But that's just for them to learn from and to grow from, and eventually become a better person themselves. I hope that answered your question, Amit. So yes, don't be a jerk. I don't think you will ever be a jerk if you are true to yourself and if you are there for other people. But you can only be there for other people if you are there for yourself first. You have nothing to give to someone else if you don't own anything. So if I would, if I would want to give you something, if I would say, hey, Linda, I'm giving you a horse. That's nice, isn't it? I knew you always wanted to have a horse. But actually, I don't have a horse to give. So how could I give you a horse? Because I don't own a horse. And that's the same thing with love and respect or consideration. If you don't love or respect yourself, if you don't carry that within yourself, for yourself, you don't truly have that to give. And I think it's such a crucial starting point of everything you do, to make sure that you fill up your levels of vibrant self-love, of time, of energy, and then you have everything to give. And that is the least egocentric thing you can do. So I hope I answered your question, Amit. Yeah, Kim, I really get you. And it's really a practice to just try it in little steps, and then you'll see how it turns out for you. Manon, yeah, you're so right. I actually think that people they tend to be worried to be egocentric, and already that means that they're probably not. Kabia, that is a beautiful comment. Will heart-brain synchronicity bring better and holistic creative ideas? I truly believe so. I truly believe so. And I know that there are a lot of stories about struggling artists, and they say you need to have this struggle to create because, and then they always have stories about Van Gogh who had to cut off his ear and was struggling and therefore had his epiphanies. But even there are two things. First of all, do you want to be struggling like that to get those creative ideas? That is the first question. If it can also be different. And the second question, I think even people with very frictionless mental situations or mental illnesses still get their ideas in alpha and theta brainwaves. So eventually, somewhere down the line, they were struggling, but they have found their inner stillness somewhere to find these ideas. Yeah, it is a choice. Annika is going from ego to eco. Well, I think there's nothing wrong with the ego. I think ego is very useful. You know, it's not that we all got an ego just because it's worthless. It has a function and a purpose, like everything does. Like stress has its function, and pain has its function. It's just that, you know, it doesn't have to be the most important thing. We need to use it what it's for. And what it's for, in my opinion, is our driving force. Our ego gives us desires, and then we can chase the desires, and then we can create things to try and catch those desires. We shouldn't let our lives be defined by them, but they actually just give us motion. They put us in motion. And that is a beautiful thing, to give us motion. And that is what it's for, nothing more, nothing less. So I don't think you should abandon your ego, Annika. But that's just my personal opinion. Alejandra says, last week in a work interview, the interviewer asked me if I ask your past co-workers about you, what would you think they say about you? And you couldn't respond. I'm so happy. Alejandra, I'm so happy that you couldn't respond, because trying to know what someone else thinks about you is the most unproductive and unhealthy thing you can do, because it is none of your business what other people think of you. That's their brains. It has nothing to do with you. It's just something that they think about them, and they use you as a mirror. So I think this is a beautiful comment, to not actually know what people think of you, and to not even try to know what people think of you, because that is about them, and that's fine. And what you think of someone else has nothing to do with this other person. That's just your thought, and generally has lots to say about yourself. So if you are very annoyed by a certain person, that's very interesting. And it's a good one to actually start to look at, why are you really annoyed by this person, and what can it tell you? Colin, I'm making a distinction between egoistic and having an ego that you can productively work with. Yes, yes. I do think that is a different thing. Yeah. An egoistic, as the word, if we would consider that not caring about others, then you can still make also the distinction about caring in a way that you feel connected to another person, or feeling that you need to do something because apparently you should do something, but you don't really need to do something. So I think there are, we kind of mix this up. Like, if someone wants something from you, it doesn't mean you need to give it to them. So if you set your boundaries and say no, is that egoistic? I don't think so. Anton says, we don't know how great Van Gogh's art would have been without those struggles. Yeah. Or if it's really related, you know, perhaps it's not even. Lika says, how do you relate to well-being activities of companies? Would invitations to workshops give stress? I'm not really sure what you mean with that question. Maybe you can expand on it. And then I'm happy to answer it. So I hope this little talk about creativity, about putting yourself first and building from there, is helpful for you. I hope that in the next days you can just try whenever you feel, and just to check in with your gut. Like, we can all feel, we all know gut feeling. We all know if something is right or a little bit off. But some people listen to it a little bit better than others, but it's a training. So I'm inviting you for the next days to listen to your gut feeling, to wonder, like, is this true? Do I now need to do something because I want it to? Because I feel this is aligned with who I am as a person? Or do I do something because society is asking me to do this? Or because for some reason I feel that because I am a certain type of person, this is something I need to do. We have all these beliefs about what we should do. But if we just stop listening to what our brain tells us, what our beliefs tells us to do, and if we just start to listen a little bit more to our gut, then you will notice that you can redirect and re-steer to your inner compass that is just there. You can just listen to it and just try, and you don't have to make huge changes instantly. You can just, with every little event, with every event that happens in your life throughout the day, just check in with yourself. And even if you do decide to do the thing that you actually didn't want to do, that's okay. You know, you don't have to suddenly change everything, but just become aware of it. Just become aware that maybe you weren't putting yourself first. And when are you putting yourself first? And when are you not? And is it really fair to another person to say yes to a demand because you think this other person cannot deal with a no? Are you taking the other person serious because you think this person is not strong enough to deal with your no? That is a question. Colin, that is a different session. I might want to do a different session on that about the creativity of rituals. But definitely, meditation to balance my brainwave is a really big part of that. Journaling is a big part of that, and actually taking a shower. I get a lot of ideas in the shower, and that's also because it balances my brainwaves. And lately, I've been doing brainwave practices during running as well. So there are different ways, and everybody has their own ways. But I do know that there are certain basic rules that you can follow to find your creativity. But before you do that, you have to make sure that you release your stress, because and that's something I see so much also in creative studies, also in Design Academy, where I teach that everything is focused on becoming the creator, training your creative skills. But what about the person underneath? If you make sure that the person underneath, you core, that's what you are. If you make sure that you are powerful, that you are authentic and self-authorized, unapologetic, then you become such more powerful creators. And that's where I want to focus on. So I want to go below the creative strategies themselves. Lika says, we try to organize well-being activities for creative people. Of course, everybody can say yes or no to an activity. The right form needs to promote the workshop. Okay. Yeah, that is like a different conversation. I think I don't think I can actually give an answer to that now, but I think it's wonderful that you actually do promote and invite people to do that. And I think the best way to do that is to, no one wants, I think that's very important. No one wants a workshop. No one wants an online course. No one wants to get classes in meditation. What you want are the results. What you want is less stress. What you want is to get rid of anxiety and overwhelm. What you want is to feel that you have lots of time. What you want is to earn lots of money. What you want is to have great connections with people around you. What you want is great sex. What you want is an amazing body. What you want is feeling healthy and fit and being articulate and having great love affairs. And what you want is eating amazing food and having great time with friends. That's what you want. So if you talk about workshops in companies, talk about what people get from it, not about a workshop. Who wants another workshop? I hope I answered your question a little bit. In that, yes. So yeah, let me just explain that to you. The Creative Strategies for Sensitive Pirates group is an ongoing monthly membership group. And I just opened the group for new members just once in a while because I want to contain the group energy. But we will be starting a 21-day challenge inside that group on June 11th, so already this Thursday. And this is a 21-day challenge, so it's a very kind of compact and intense. It's more intense than our regular trainings. 21-day course, and this is kind of I think where we start with defining the goal that we want to improve within 21 days. Because for the people in the group, I want them to really improve on their goals. So it's nice to join the group, it's nice to do the group, but I just want people to say after a couple of months, I'm done, I got it. I just want people to improve. We're starting the 21-day challenge on Thursday, so that by July 1st, you have your first results, or you're further, or you're closer to your goals. So I'm opening the group again. You can join the 21-day challenge, and you can also decide whether you want to stay or not in the group afterwards. So you can just sign up only for the 21-day challenge, see if you like it. If you don't like it, you can also step out of the group again. That's all completely fine. Also, in the group every month, you can decide whether you want to stay or not. I would never want to have people in my group who don't want to be there. I only want to work with dedicated people who really are there for themselves, not for me, who want to grow and who want to develop their creative skills on a very core level. So if you're interested in doing the 21-day challenge, you can sign up very easily by just sending an email to, I'll just write it in the chat. It's just studio@marijvogelzang.nl. And then you'll get all the information about the schedule and you know what you can find in that group. Joining the 21-day challenge is 199 euros. That is only for this challenge. The regular rate of the Creative Strategies group is 149, but you get a less frequent activity. So if you want to stay in the group afterwards, then you actually get a lower rate, because then the frequency is a bit more relaxed again. So that is the information about the challenge. If you want to join, I would be very happy if you want to join, but only if you feel that this is right for you, if this is something that you just in 21 days want to commit yourself to and want to put yourself first. So do you have any questions about that, or other questions? I'm really open for any questions. Colin says, we want value. What do you refer to? Zephyr says, I really like that comment. I always felt I was being a good person for taking other people into account, and now realize it's really my responsibility to express myself and give the other person the opportunity to react for themselves. Yeah, and Zeppa, I think, and I was absolutely the same. I always felt like, yeah, maybe this person wants that, and then I started already doing that. But who knows? You know, how can you ever know what someone wants? And why wouldn't you just take someone serious and expect that the other person, and allow the other person to tell you what they want? And also, it is a true pleasure for many people to actually find out what you really want. That is something that a lot of people actually don't take into account, that it's also quite nice for the people around you if you are just expressing what you want without all these kind of unsaid expectations, because these are the things that just take away so much energy, and it's really unnecessary. Yeah, Janine, that's a great question. So what we have is an online Facebook group. It's a group where we share our experiences. So during the week, it's also quite a nice place to just share whatever you want to share, whether these are questions or updates or wins that you have. So that's in the Facebook group. The trainings, however, are on Zoom, just like we have right now. So you will have Zoom trainings. So if you're not on Facebook, you can still do the Zoom trainings. And then I will always post all the recordings of the sessions and the challenges in the group. So if you cannot make it to the times, that's okay. You can always just see the replay. And if you still have questions afterwards, you can type them in the comments, and then I get back to you in the comments. So Of course, it's nicest to be on Zoom to see each other's faces and to have more live interactions, but you can also do it like that. And I will try to be as interactive through Facebook as well. So I hope that answered your questions. All right. Did it answer your question? Do you have any other questions? Or just other comments? All the sessions will be around 1 hour. I always try to respect your time. Sometimes it will take a little bit longer. And next to the sessions, I will get you into training Prime Light Meditation, which is, if you want to do it, it's a great tool. And with the 2 sessions a week in the 21-day challenge, so these are real like creative strategies sessions twice a week. You will get your challenge and your homework, which you can do in your own time, and you can take as much time or as little as you are capable of. But next to that, we have 3 options a week to join our live Prime Light Meditation training sessions. So you have the chance to really train together and to go through the Prime Light Meditation. So eventually it's very easy to incorporate that in your day. All right. Lika says, so I know how dedicated I can be. How many times a day in the 21 days? Yeah, so it's 2 sessions a week for creative strategies. And I do recommend to be there in the 2 sessions or to watch the replay. And then next to that, there are 3 options a week to join the live training. Some people prefer just doing the live training of the meditation, I mean. Some people prefer doing the meditation without the live training. That's completely fine. But if it helps you to do that in a group, to feel that you're more committed, like I always do yoga in the studio, and I know I can do it at home, but I just, for some reason, that doesn't work for me. And that's kind of the same thing as with the meditation practice. Some people just prefer doing it together online. So you're welcome to join all 3 times or once a week, or just do it by yourself. That's fine. But at least 2 moments a week are the creative sessions, and they're kind of similar like this session, but they will have like different challenges every week, and sometimes they're a little bit more practical. Sometimes you get writing assignments or journaling assignments. All right, I hope I answered that questions. All right. Yeah. So are you all good? Still awake? All right. So thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. And, you know, it's, even if you don't decide to join, that is completely fine. I just wish for you to put yourself first. And then when I meet you, then I know I will be meeting a vibrant, powerful, self-authorized, unapologetic person. And I love those. All right. Thank you. Bye. I will just unmute you. You can just say, I'll say bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.